Alright, I'm going to go over the basics of the interactive notebook that we're going to use in class. This will hold all of our notes and classwork, and it will have all of your study guides, everything that you'll need to know for the test. So you'll need a one subject notebook, some pens and pencils, glue stick, and scissors. You can also use tape, but I do not allow staples. Ugh. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is dedicate the first 3 pages for your table of contents. So I'm just going to label that with table of contents. And then on the first day of class, we're going to go ahead and start numbering each of the pages. So I'm not going to go all the way through all 100 and whatever pages that we're going to end up having, but you will just continue on numbering on the front and back sides of each of the 3 pages until you get to the number that I've told you about. So I'll put those 3 pages of my table of contents to the side, and the next thing that we're going to make is a pocket. So the pocket's going to hold loose papers like bubble sheets and those types of things that are not going to be glued in or taped into your notebook. So this will also take 3 pages. We're going to take the first page, fold the corner down until it meets your spiral, crease it, and then you're going to glue in an L shape along the side and the bottom. If you want to glue this little triangle piece down, you can also do that. Sometimes it kind of flops up and gets in the way. So once you have your glue on, you're just going to smash it down to your second sheet, and then that will make the first side of your pocket. On the back side, we're going to do the same thing, folding in the opposite direction with your third page. So we're going to fold it down to the spiral, crease it, put a little bit of glue to hold your flap down, and then glue on the side and the bottom in an L shape, and then smash it to the middle page. So that is a nice little 2-sided pocket. You can keep anything that you might not get glued in for the day, a little crooked, bubble sheets and those types of things. So your actual notebook will start on the next full page. So just like with your table of contents, you will start numbering those with number 1, 2 on the back of that, 3, and then so on until all of your pages have been numbered. After we have things in the table of contents, you're going to use that title from the table of contents to be the title of your page, and then that will kind of help you with figuring out what's going to be glued onto each page of your notebook. So I'm going to switch over to a notebook that is actually in progress and has a lot of things done. So the table of contents here, you can see that everything is labeled with the title of each page up until, not ripped, the point where I am now. So I'm going to flip over and show a couple of other things. At the beginning of the notebook, there are the interactive notebook guidelines, which goes over the supplies that I had just covered, as well as what goes on each side of the notebook. So the notebook is set up in a way where there is one side that is dedicated to things that I give you that are teacher material, and then how you apply that to the opposite side. So some more examples of that here with mixing methods, some of the things that we just covered in class. On the right side with the teacher side where I've given notes, I've given a sketch to stretch style of notes with the pancake mixing method. On the opposite side, I have a recipe that utilizes this method. So you can kind of see the steps that you would take to make this recipe here that you've already drawn out. After each lab is over, while you're eating, you'll answer your recap questions, which are here, just some basic questions about what you did in lab, some of the functions of the ingredients, and some steps of the mixing method. Some other things that you will do, one dealing with vocabulary that I like to use from time to time. I use what I call stoplight colors. I don't make everybody define every word every single time. Some people come to the table with different life experiences and different areas of knowledge, especially if you've taken any ag classes with Miss Fulton. You may already know some of this stuff, especially related to dairy. So I start off the dairy unit with going over the words. As we go through the unit, you'll learn the definitions for the words, and then at the end when we're reviewing, I will have you do what I call stoplight colors. So as you read through each word, if you feel that you could get up in front of a room full of people and tell the definition with confidence, then you would mark that word with a green dot, so you're good to go. If you feel like you have seen the word before, windstorm, you kind of get the gist of the definition, but you're not really comfortable telling somebody else what it would mean, then you're going to mark that yellow. If you have no clue what the word is, you're not sure if you've ever even seen the word before, then you would mark that one red. So when we go back to look at the definitions, I would maybe have you just define your red words or your yellow words if you had mostly yellow words and no red words, that sort of thing. So that way you're not having to write a whole bunch of definitions, especially the ones that are green that you already are aware of. So I'm going to go back to some of the things about how to glue some of the things in. So when you come into class, you will pick up the papers for each section. Usually I try to glue everything in at one time on a Monday. I think I might have accidentally glued these pages together. It feels like. And so you'll pick up the papers from the counter. I will have the table of contents up where you can copy down the pages that we're going to be gluing in that day. So for example, we're going to glue in page 95 right now. So 95 are going to be egg and dairy recipes and recaps. So that will also be the title of your page. So when you fill in your table of contents, you can go ahead and fill in the top of the paper. I will go through under the document camera what each page is and what page number it goes on. So you can just mark that on the back like I've done here, and then later on when you have free time to glue in, then that will kind of help you remember where that needs to go. So sometimes we will glue 2 pieces of paper in on a page, and we'll do what I call stacking, where you'll glue one paper down first, and it will save you some glue if you just glue at the top. And then we're going to do the same thing with the recipe here. And I'm just going to leave myself some room up here so I can stack this on top of it, but still be able to flip it up and read what's underneath it. There's some other types of things that we'll use that are more like flaps. So for example here, what's going to go on page 107 is a grains processing flap. So this one is going to be labeled 2.05. Grain processing. So with these, you can see that there is a slender rectangle that's at the top. That's the only part that's going to be glued or taped down, so we can flap this up and write some things underneath it. So that will only take a little bit amount of glue. So once we get to this section of write notes, then you'll just be writing things that are fitting right underneath the flap, just about whole grains. One of my favorite things about this is it helps you to condense the information into what's the most important, and you're not writing pages and pages of information, just a few things that are going to be important for that day. I guess that's kind of the basics of the interactive notebook for now. The more that we use it, the more you'll get comfortable with it, and you'll kind of get adjusted to this style of note-taking. There are lots of different ways that we take notes besides the flaps, but those are some things that you will kind of pick up on as we go through using interactive notebooks and Foods 1.